The 2024 NFL regular season is now over, so now it's time to reflect back on what we saw and grade each team's quarterback on our NFL quarterback tier list. This season, we've seen some great quarterback play, and we've seen some very painfully terrible quarterback play. But no matter how good, how bad, and how ugly this season has gone, each quarterback will have the honor of being acknowledged on our NFL quarterback tier list. For the flow of the video, our NFL quarterback tier list will go division by division, grading each quarterback, and we will hit all 32 NFL quarterbacks by the end of this video. Before we begin, be sure to like this video for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to the channel for more fun and insightful NFL videos similar to this one. Starting with the AFC South, which, no offense, is probably the least competitive division in football right now. We have Houston Texans quarterback C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud had a decent sophomore year in the NFL, but he never really had consistency in the lineup this season with injuries to wide receivers, Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, and then Tank Dell at the end of the season. Despite this, CJ still put up 3,727 passing yards and 20 passing touchdowns while leading the Texans to a playoff victory. He did have a statistical decline from his rookie season, but he was still productive this season, and he's the best QB in his division, so we'll give him a B. Moving on to our next team in the AFC South, we have Indianapolis Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson. Richardson is a physical specimen, but sadly, it only looks good coming off the bus. Anthony Richardson had a rough second year in the NFL. His commitment to the team came into question when he tapped out for a play during the season and said he was tired and was benched for Joe Flacco. Richardson's performance didn't really help his cause, as he threw for only 8 touchdowns and tossed 12 interceptions while fumbling the ball 9 times. Any upside the Colts saw when they drafted him hasn't shown just yet, and for that, we give Richardson an F on our quarterback tier list. Next up on our list is Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence got paid very handsomely after the 2023 NFL season and immediately regressed in 2024. He was injured with a concussion after a nasty hit against the Texans, so his season was cut to only 10 games. In games that Trevor Lawrence started, the Jags went 2-8, and Trevor threw for 2,045 passing yards and 11 touchdowns, with 7 interceptions. Even though Trevor has next to no help on offense, 6 of those 8 losses were one-score games. So for his efforts, we'll give him a D on our quarterback tier list. Wrapping up the AFC South, we have Tennessee Titans quarterback Will Levis. Will Levis has had a bumpy start to his NFL career, and the 2024 season wasn't any easier for him. The Titans are also not a good football team, as Will Levis only led the team to 2 wins in the games he started, throwing for 2,091 yards, 13 passing touchdowns, 12 interceptions, while also fumbling 10 times. Whenever you get benched for Mason Rudolph, you know you've messed up. No offense. For his efforts, we grade Will Levis a D on our quarterback tier list. Next NFL division will cover the AFC West, with Las Vegas Raiders quarterback Gardner Minshew. The Raiders need a quarterback. There's just no other way to put it. For the 2024 NFL season, Minshew and the Raiders offense as a unit struggled. Minshew started in 9 games, and during that stretch led the Raiders to only 2 wins. He was later benched for Aiden O'Connell, who didn't do any better. The Raiders aren't good right now, and neither is Minshew's grade on our quarterback tier list, as he receives an F. Next on our list is Los Angeles Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert. Jim Harbaugh has definitely brought the winning culture into the Chargers program, and that showed in Justin Herbert's play this season. Justin Herbert completed the 2024 NFL regular season by throwing for 3,870 yards, 23 touchdowns, and only 3 interceptions. He also led the Chargers to an 11-6 record and a playoff appearance. Justin Herbert's 2024 season ranks as a B on our quarterback tier list. Up next to grade on our list is Denver Broncos rookie quarterback Bo Nix. Bo Nix came into the league as a day 1 starter for the Sean Payton-led team and didn't disappoint. During his rookie year, he led the Broncos to a 10-7 record while throwing for 3,775 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions, while also leading the Broncos to a playoff appearance. A very good rookie season for a team that no one thought would make the playoff. For his efforts, we give Bo Nix a B grade on our quarterback tier list. Rounding up the AFC West, we have Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes has had another good season as the Chiefs' signal caller, but not nearly as good as he'd been in previous years. Mahomes in 2024 has led the Chiefs to another number 1 seed in the AFC, even though he had a career low in passing yards, throwing for 3,928 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. For Mahomes standards, very low stats, but on our list, we're giving Mahomes a B. Still a solid year, even though his stats were down. He just didn't have A-level plays. Next division we'll cover on our quarterback tier list is the AFC North. Starting with Cleveland Browns quarterback, Jameis Winston. We know the Browns have multi-millionaire quarterback Deshaun Watson, but he suffered an Achilles injury and Winston took over. Jameis Winston threw for 2,121 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions, while going for a record of 2-5 in the 7 games he started. Rough year to be a Browns quarterback, as Jameis Winston gets a D grade on our list. Next is Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback, Russell Wilson. Russ didn't have a terrible season. He started 11 games and threw for 2,482 yards, 16 touchdowns, and only 5 interceptions. The Steelers are also very low on receiver weapons, so Russ worked well with what they had. Even though Russ didn't throw many interceptions, we still give him a C grade for his efforts this season. Next up on our list is Cincinnati Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow had an incredible season. He led the NFL in multiple quarterback stats, including 4,918 passing yards, 43 passing touchdowns, only 9 interceptions, while completing 70.6% of his passes. Joe Burrow had an MVP-worthy season. If he wasn't on a losing team with one of the worst defenses in the league. They ultimately missed the playoffs, but for an amazing statistical season, we're giving Joe Burrow an A grade on our quarterback tier list. To wrap up the AFC North, we have Baltimore Ravens quarterback, Lamar Jackson. Lamar has had an incredible season and is looking likely to win his 3rd league MVP. In the 2024 NFL season, Lamar totaled 5,087 total yards, scoring 45 total touchdowns, and only throwing 4 interceptions. Lamar was also a menace in fantasy this season for any of your fantasy football managers. After an incredible season that may result in another MVP, we're giving Lamar an S grade. Hopefully he can finally win the big one someday. To wrap up the AFC side, we have the AFC East, starting with New York Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has had a very rough go since leaving Green Bay. Obviously, he got hurt after just 4 plays last year, and now this year the Jets see coaching changes during the season. Yikes. The Jets have no offensive line and a shaky defense, but this last season, Rodgers threw for 3,897 yards, 28 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. In his 20 years in the NFL, he's only thrown double-digit interceptions in 4 seasons. For that, we'll give him a C for his production this season. The next quarterback in the AFC East we'll cover is New England Patriots quarterback Drake May. Drake May was back up to Jacoby Brissett at the start of the season, until he was named starter after a couple games. The Patriots didn't have the best supporting cast for their rookie QB, but Drake May showed Patriots fans some potential, as he threw for 2,276 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. He also showed some running ability as well, but for his rookie year, we have to give him a D. Hopefully the Patriots can turn it around. Now moving on to Miami Dolphins, quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. Tua had another year where he couldn't stay healthy, and he's become the poster child for NFL concussions, unfortunately. During games where he was healthy, he threw for 2,867 yards, 19 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. For his performance in the 2024 NFL season, we give Tua a C grade. Hopefully Tua is able to stay healthy for the remainder of his career. Finishing up the AFC, we have Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen. Josh Allen has had another incredible season, as the Bills have always been in the mix with Allen at QB. During the 2024 season, Josh Allen threw 3,731 passing yards for 28 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. He also added 12 rushing touchdowns on the ground. Even though his stats are down compared to years past, one area he improved immensely is the lower interceptions. The Bills let Stefon Diggs go after last season, and Josh Allen still led the offense with dominance, and for that, we give him an S grade. Attaboy Josh. That wraps up the AFC side of the NFL. Now we must check out the NFC side, starting with the NFC South and Carolina Panthers quarterback Bryce Young. Bryce Young has gotten off to a very miserable start to his NFL career. He improved slightly from his rookie season, but that team is still just very bad. This season, he threw for 2,403 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions, which is an improvement. However, Bryce was benched for a brief moment early in the season for quarterback Andy Dalton, due to his poor play. For his efforts this season, we're giving Bryce Young a D. Not complete trash, but he did get benched, so we can't grade him higher. Moving on to the New Orleans Saints quarterback, Derek Carr. Carr faced some injury during the 2024 season and only started in 10 games. But during those games, he was consistent. He's rarely the main reason why his team loses, as Derek Carr threw for 2,145 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. The Saints are in the middle of a coaching change at Seattle, so hopefully they'll bring in the right staff. For his play this season, we're grading Derek Carr a C. Next up, we've got Atlanta Falcons quarterback Kirk Cousins. Cousins was offered a big contract to come to the ATL to be their signal caller. The magic of Kirk Cousins quickly cooled off during the season as Kirk went on quite the interception streak. He was inevitably benched for first-round rookie quarterback Michael Penix Jr. Kirk started 14 games and totaled 3,508 yards and threw 18 touchdowns, but 16 interceptions. NFL sweetheart Kirk Cousins receives an F on our quarterback tier list. He got paid a big bag, got benched, and tied for the league lead in interceptions thrown. Sorry, Kirk. Last NFC South quarterback to be graded is Tampa Bay quarterback Baker Mayfield. Baker had a great season and has seen a renaissance in his career over the last couple seasons. Baker accomplished career highs in a few quarterback stats, including 4,500 passing yards and 41 passing touchdowns. But he was also tied with Kirk for the league lead in picks with 16. After leading the Buccaneers to a 10-7 record and making sure Mike Evans gets his incentive bonus, we give Baker a B on our quarterback tier list. Next up is the NFC West, starting with Seattle Seahawks quarterback Geno Smith. The Seahawks struggled with injuries all season long, but Geno played consistently. Geno Smith logged 4,320 passing yards, 21 passing touchdowns, and 15 interceptions. Unfortunately, the Seahawks weren't able to make it to the playoffs, but still had a 10-win season. Despite having a 70% completion percentage, the 15 interceptions makes us give him a C grade for his efforts this season. Now, moving on to Arizona Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray had a very average season for the Cardinals this season, but is working with very limited resources. In 2024, Kyler Murray recorded 3,851 passing yards, 26 total touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. These numbers aren't wildly impressive, but they're not far off from his career averages. He was just less of a factor on the ground. For his performance this season, Kyler Murray gets a C. Hopefully he develops more chemistry with Marvin Harrison Jr. Next, we've got Los Angeles Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford. In year 16, Stafford was still productive for the Rams. They started slow, but got hot towards the end of the season and won the division to make it into the playoffs. Stafford finished the season throwing for 3,762 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. Very efficient on offense, despite enduring injuries. In year 16, Stafford gets a B on our quarterback tier list. Moving on to San Francisco 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy came onto the scene and had good success early in his career. It has been well documented. This season, we got to see what Brock Purdy looked like without Christian McCaffrey, and it was not great. Brock Purdy still took care of the ball well, but the 49ers defense was ranked among the bottom in the league, and Purdy didn't have enough production to make up for it. Purdy will most likely sign a $200 million contract this season, but on our list, he gets a D. Moving on to the NFC North, which now looks like the toughest division in the NFL. We'll begin with Chicago Bears quarterback Caleb Williams. The number 1 overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft joined a bad team, but played decently. Caleb Williams started his season very hot, as the Bears were 4-2 at one point, but then continued to go on a rough losing streak. Caleb Williams himself was consistent, throwing for 3,541 yards, 20 passing touchdowns, and only 6 interceptions, but he was also the most sacked quarterback in the NFL this season. For his rookie season, we'll give him a C on our quarterback tier list and hope the Bears can build around him. Next up is Green Bay Packers quarterback Jordan Love. The first game of the season against the Philadelphia Eagles in Brazil, Jordan Love was injured late in the game, and it sidelined him for a couple games. He was able to come back and play solid enough for the Packers to keep pace in the competitive NFC North. He totaled 3,389 passing yards, 25 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions in a still very young Green Bay offense. He played well, made the playoffs, and is improving his game. So he gets a B on our quarterback tier list. Moving on to the Minnesota Vikings quarterback, Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold wasn't even really supposed to play much this season. He led the Vikings to a 14-3 record, throwing for 4,319 passing yards, 35 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. You'll never be able to talk about Sam Darnold and not bring up this season he just had. For an amazing season, and maybe even earning himself a big contract elsewhere, we give Sam an A. Finishing up the division, we've got Detroit Lions quarterback Jared Goff. Goff has had a good career revival since being traded to Detroit. He also has an all-star cast around him, but he's been playing well these last couple seasons. Goff and the Lions offense were the best in the NFL, as he threw for 4,629 yards, 37 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. Great season for the Lions. We'll have to see how he does with a new offensive coordinator. But for our quarterback tier list, he gets an A. The final division to fill out our list is the NFC East, and we'll be starting with New York Giants quarterback Daniel Jones. Let's be honest, Daniel Jones barely ever had a fighting chance in New York. His Giants tenure will forever be remembered as a bank heist and nothing more. He isn't even on the team anymore, as he is now a backup on the Vikings. The Giants need a quarterback very badly, but since Daniel Jones started most of the games last season, we'll give him an F. Best of luck in the future to you, Daniel Jones. Moving on to Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott. And unfortunately, Dak did get injured in the middle of the season, but it's not like the Cowboys played much better with him in the lineup. We're hoping he can get back on track, but we'll have to give him a D for his limited performance this past season. Next is Washington Commanders quarterback Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels is the NFL rookie quarterback that every head coach, general manager, and fan base dreams of being drafted. No one thought the Heisman winner would come in and lead the Commanders to a deep playoff push at the beginning of the season. But Jayden Daniels made it happen. During his rookie season, he totaled 4,459 yards, scored 31 total touchdowns, and threw only 9 interceptions. An incredible rookie year, and for that, we give Jayden Daniels an S grade. The Washington Commanders have found their QB. Our final quarterback to finish up our quarterback tier list is Philadelphia Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has had another productive season for the Eagles. He led the Eagles to having a top 10 offense in the league and led the team to a 14-3 record. During the regular season, Hurts totaled 3,533 yards and scored 32 touchdowns and threw only 5 interceptions. His ability to take care of the football improved drastically from the previous year. He gets a lot of criticism for some reason, but he always wins. And for that, we're giving him an A on our quarterback tier list. So that puts a finish on our NFL quarterback tier list. Let us know in the comments who you think we overrated or underrated. Thank you for watching this video. Please remember to leave a thumbs up and comment down below, in addition to subscribing to the channel for future NFL videos similar to this. We'll see you in the next one.